Typing is just you reading quickly to get a general idea of that course material, of the content of the novel, of whatever you are reading. While scanning means reading quickly to locate specific information. So while for scanning, you are reading to locate a specific information. Maybe you are looking for a date, you are looking for a time frame, you are looking for a particular heading. That is when you do scanning. So both are rapid reading skills. Both of these skills, I said, they are both rapid skills, and they are useful. They are useful for students, they are useful for workers and everyday life. So these skills are very useful. These two skills are useful. So that's for the skimming and scanning. So today we are going to be talking about a very different unit, which is reading and comprehending at varying speed level. You are reading, you are comprehending at a varying speed level. So what do you understand by the word reading? We've talked about reading skill set behind here in a lot of units back. Maybe some units back, we've talked about reading. And reading is when you open your book to read. Process of you reading out reading out something, reading out an information, reading out the data. That is you reading. Comprehending is you understanding. When you understand, another word for comprehension is understanding. Then acknowledgement can also be used. So understanding is same thing as comprehending at varying speed level. So you are set to understand at varying speed level. That varying means changing or not always the same, like a changing speed level. A changing speed level. So that is the first one. So let's look at the introduction of this unit. Let's go into the unit. So under the introduction, this unit teaches you that you don't need everything the same way. So this unit teaches us that we don't need everything. You don't read everything the same way. So sometimes you read very fast, like to get the main idea quickly, and sometimes you read at an average speed to understand properly and enjoy the text. So, our reading has a very speed level. So sometimes you read very fast, while sometimes you use an average speed to read. When you read very fast, maybe you are late for an interview, you are late for an exam, and you really need to pick one or two things in your head at that particular instant. That is when you read very fast, so that you can be able to get the main ideas quickly. While at an average good speed now, yeah, you have a lot of time. Let's say now our exam is still kind of far. We still have like 30 days for us to prepare. So you can still be reading at an average speed. You can still be reading, you can still be making use of a detailed reading skills, so that you'll be able to get the details of the book or the details of the content you are reading clearly and understandably. So for the very fast speed level, it's not as if you are not going to understand those. But it's just that you are not reading the stories that are behind. You are not reading the stories that are inside the course material that are under that unit. You are not reading the stories. What you are just skimming for, is just the main ideas. So in Nigerian universities, this is very important because you may have many handouts to read before exam. So this reading and comprehending at varying speed level is very important, because sometimes we may have many handouts. It's not even sometimes. For now, at least anybody that is doing the least course will be doing 9 course. So you have like at least 9 course to do, which means you have 9 handouts to read before exam. So you may need to quickly check course material on your phone or on your laptop, and you may read textbook, novels, or articles. So you must learn how to adjust your reading speed depending on the situation. So you must learn how to adjust your reading speed. So the reading speed must that is why the word varying is being added to the topic, because your reading skills, you must make sure you adjust that reading speed according to the situation you are yeah, you want to read for an exam urgently. The kind of speed you give to that it will be different from when you want to read a novel, and the kind of speed also will be different from when you have a lot of time to prepare for the exam. So the reading speed depends on the situation. So let's go to the objective. For the objective, what you should know after studying this unit, you should be able to read very fast and still understand the key points. So after this unit, we as a student, we should be able to learn to read very fast and still understand the key points. There's a difference between you reading very fast and there's a difference between you understanding what you've read. So another objective is read at average speed with good comprehension. Reading at average speed with good comprehension. While the third one is apply reading skills to answer questions correctly. So these reading skills that we're trying to learn here, that we're trying to get informations on, we're trying to get the knowledge on, we should apply these reading skills to answer questions correctly. Now you can relate this to your exam. And in the exam hall you are given question, you must try as much as possible to apply these reading skills to answer those questions that you are given inside the exam so that you'll be able to meet up with the time. So that's for the objective. So let's go into the main content, which is reading at the fastest speed. Yeah, so we are still going to talk about skimming, we are still going to talk about scanning, because these two these two methods, they are both the fastest reading speed method. So what is fast reading? That is the first thing I'm going to explain on. What is fast reading? So this is when you read very quickly. Fast reading is when you read very quickly. So when you read very quickly to get the main ideas, to find specific information. So fast reading is what you do when you read very quickly to get the main ideas or to find a specific information, which means you might be reading very fast because you want to practice skimming. At the same time, you might be reading very fast because you want to practice scanning. So those are the two ways to do a fast reading. So this includes skimming, and skimming is what? Reading to get the general idea. While the second one, which is scanning, searching for details. So that one you are searching for details. So reading at the fastest speed is the kind of speed that you get, or is the kind of speed that you give to your course material when you read very quickly, for you to just get the main idea or for you to find the specific information. So that's under that. So let's continue. Let's look at the second subheading. He's giving us an example here. Yeah. Number one example is exam preparation. So for the exam preparation, you have 5 topics to revise before GST exams. Now you have 5 topics to revise before your GST exam, and you quickly skim through those 5 topics. You check the heading, you check the subheading, you check the bold words, you check the italic words. Anything that seems very useful there, you check them. So you check them, and this is an example of the fastest, like you did it in a very fast way. reading in a very fast speed. Now imagine when you have 5 topics to cover, and I know some of us are having more than five, so we still have a little time. But let's say for someone that does not have, or that has a limited time, so you have 5 topics to revise before GST exam. So what do you do? Which is where you make use of skimming. Where you make use of skimming. So you quickly skim for the heading of the unit, you skim for the subheading, you can skim for the bold words, you can skim to check the interlinked word. So why another example is number 2, looking for a name or date. So when you are looking for a name, you are looking for a date also, you check a course material. For an example now, checking for assignment deadline, and checking for the lecturer name. So you can scan for that information. These 2 examples. You wanted to tell you to leave it. This is the fine. Sorry, please hold on. So I was talking about this second example that says looking for a name or a date. When you check a course material, for an example now, when you want to check for an assignment deadline, you want to check for a lecturer's name, you want to scan for a specific topic. This is, you make use of this scanning to scan for a specific information. You go to the exam hall, for an example, you saw a question there, and when you see those answers, you are not sure of you were not sure of those answers, but you just pick one. Then when you left, immediately you stepped out on the exam hall, you ran to your course material, you pick it up, and you were looking for that question to get the answer. That is an example of scanning. If you see the answer inside the course material, then that is when you believe that, I did well, I did not do well. So that is for scanning. Why the first example is talking about skimming. When you have your 5 topics to revise before GST exam, and you are quickly performing what you are making use of the skimming skills, so that you'll be able to cover for those 5 topics. So that is under what is fast speed. So let's look at reading speed. What is the reading speed? So about 800 plus word per minute. At least for a good student with a good reading skills, should be able to read 800 plus word per minute, and about 50% understanding. So that means you don't understand everything, but you get the main point quickly. So when you're making use of this reading speed, maybe skimming, maybe scanning, when you're making use of them, you have like 800 plus word per minute. You can actually grab 800 plus word per minute and about 50% understanding. So this skimming will not give you 100% understanding because you're not doing a detailed reading, but instead it will give you a 50% understanding. And important note on this: fast reading is useful when you are short on time, you only need key ideas. So these are situations whereas this fast reading is needed, whereas skimming and scanning is needed. So this skimming and scanning, if you have a lot of time for you to prepare, you don't need skimming and scanning. Just do the detailed reading. Read very well, study, and you grab what is there. But it is when you are short on time, maybe you have exam by 11 a.m. and you are getting to the school around 10:30, which means you have like 30 minutes to prepare. So you have a short time. And when you want to do this kind of reading, you only need the key ideas. You don't need those stories. What you need is just key ideas. So that's for that. So let's look at another subheading. Reading at the average speed. We talked about reading at the fastest speed. Now, reading at the average speed. So what is an average reading? For an example, what is an average reading? So this is when you read normally with better understanding. So an average reading is the one you read normally with a better understanding. So mind you, you are not short of time. So mind you are not rushing and you are not scanning for any information. So this is when you read normally with better understanding. You are practicing the detailed reading here. And this one is used for textbook, it is used for novels, it is used for lecture notes, it is used for article. So this kind of reading now, for now, yeah, this is the kind of reading you are supposed to be to be doing, because you are not rushing yourself for the exam. You still have time. Yeah, although the time might not be enough, but at the same time, you still have time to prepare. If you are taking 9 courses, there's a way you can split it in a week. You are able to cover for like two units in all of those courses. You'll be able to cover up before the exam. So that is for the average reading. It is what it is when you read normally with what? With a better understanding. So what is the reading speed for this? You have like 250 to 500 words per minute. You have what? 250 to 500 words per unit and about 70% comprehension. So this is the best balance between speed and understanding. So if you can remember, for the fast reading speed, you have what? 800 plus word per minute. You need to grab 800 plus words per minute at least. But for this average reading, you only have 250 to 500 word per unit. You might not meet up with the 500, but at least it must be above or 250. It must be above or the same as 250. Then to the range of 500 words per minute. That is when you are performing an average reading. And at the end of the reading, you are going to get about 70% of the understanding of the book. For the skimming, the fast reading is 50%. And for this average reading, it is 70%. So this is the best balance between speed and understanding. This is a kind of a very good balance between them. Yeah, between the words, between you as a student and the book that you are reading. So that is for average reading. So let's continue. Let's look at the examples for this average reading. So reading GST course material. We read carefully to understand. So when you are reading a GST course material, you read carefully to understand. So these are the things you read in the material that you read carefully to understand, like the definition. For the definition, you need to be able to explain. For the explanation, at the same time, you need to be able to explain. So why the last one, which is the example, at the same time, when you read carefully the course material, you understand them and you still be the one to explain. So part of the detail average speed reading rather. The average speed reading, you read carefully to understand the definitions, the explanation, and the example. In this kind of situation, you are practicing an average speed reading. You are doing a detailed reading because you need to read carefully. You are reading a GST course material, and because you don't want to come back there, you don't want to. Once you are done with the book, you are done with the book. So you pick So you need to read carefully to understand this content. So you are reading GST105, which is the philosophy and history of science. There are some definitions there are some birth years there are some philosophers there are some scientists there that you need to take note of, that you need to know. So the second example here is reading a normal, e.g. African literature. So reading a novel, e.g. African literature, you read at a comfortable pace to enjoy the story and to understand character. So reading a novel now, when you are reading a novel, an example is there like an African literature. You read at a comfortable pace. Yeah, you are reading at your own comfortable pace. Nobody will tell you to stop. You are reading at your own comfortable pace to enjoy the story and to understand the character. So when you are reading a novel, most of us, or it doesn't even require skimming, it doesn't require scanning, it doesn't require skimming, it doesn't require scanning. So when you read a novel, you need a comfortable place so that you'll be able to enjoy the story, so that you'll be able to understand the characters. Then the number 3 example, reading lecturers' handouts. So you are reading lecturers' handouts, you slow down slightly too. So reading lecturers' handouts, you slow down slightly to understand the concepts and prepare for exam. And you read the lecturer's handouts or the informations, the classes the lecturer has been taking you. You have a jotter that you are jotting them down. So yes, so you slow down tightly to understand the concept to prepare for exam. So that is reading lecturers and handouts. So key warning here. Key warning here is that if you read fast but don't understand, if you read fast but don't understand, that is not reading. So in a situation where you are reading fast, you can actually read fast, but you don't understand. Even the 50% this book is talking about that you should get. So it is when you read fast and understand. That is when you do a fast reading. And even if you read a novel, you finish a course material and you are unable to understand, that is just a waste of time. Just a waste of energy. So through reading contains the speed of understanding. When you can call something a true mid reading, when you can call it a very good way for you to read, it must have speed. The reading must have speed, and the reading must have a better understanding. So which means you as a reader, you as a true reader, your speed and your understanding level must be intact. They must be intact. So those are the 3 examples that I can give under this subtopic. So I said reading GST course materials, reading a novel, which is an African literature. Then number three is reading the lecturer's handouts. So this is you slowing down slightly to understand the concept and to prepare for the exams. So let's continue. So let's look at the key concepts. The key concept of this unit. Key concept for reading and comprehending at varying speed level. So for the key concept, reading speed must match what? It must match your purpose. The reading speed you are given, purpose of your reading, there must be a purpose for the kind of reading skills you are using. That is why I said if you are going to be a detailed reader, that means what? You have a time, you have the best time frame around you that can make you to prepare. So that is why you are doing a detailed reading. While if you are doing a skimming reading, that means you have a short time. Maybe for example, you have to be in the school tomorrow for an exam, and you just need materials so that you can go through them tonight. So that is classified under skimming. So it is under skimming. While for the scanning, this is where you need to scan for a specific information, right? This is when you are looking for a specific information. So that is why your reading speed must match. It must match your purpose. So you cannot be looking for a specific information now and you are not doing it, and you are not doing it slowly. You are doing it slowly as if you are not you are not looking for it in a very fast way. So that means you are not even doing scanning at all, because your reading speed must match your purpose. So another one is time available. Your reading speed must also match the time available. Let's say we've budgeted 1 hour for this class. So I must be time what? Reliable. So the last one, type of material. So reading speed must match the type of material. It must match the type of material you are using, the type of materials you are using. So it must match. The way they've changed this GST107 that we are seeing, sorry, this energy 107 that we are seeing, before it was GST107. So this is the type of material. If you want to read a type of material, the kind of speed you give to match it, to match that material, depends on the person itself. So reading speed must match your purpose, it must match your time available, and it must also match the type of material. So an example for this, under the situation, an example for this is checking assignment date. Why under speed to use? That one is flat. Checking assignment date, flat. It's processing. So checking assignment date for the scanning, which is fast, you could not find this one. So that means no. Checking for assignment, okay, fast, yeah, that's scanning. Checking for an assignment date is scanning. You're trying to look for an assignment date inside your book, inside your course material, or inside your lesson notes. Then the second one is reading textbook. You are reading a textbook, what? You are reading a textbook, a biology textbook, a chemistry textbook, and giving it an average speed. But when you are studying for exam deeply, this one you take it very slow. Yeah, you take it slow. You take it very slow. You take a slow reading speed. And you are studying for your exam deeply. Doing it deeply, and you need to prepare. You need to really, really prepare. So yeah, for you to get that detailed reading, your reading speed must be very slow, and it must match your purpose. It must match your purpose. It must match the time that is available, and it must match the type of material that you have. Let's continue. So let's look at the conclusion on this unit. So for you, like you must learn, you must learn how to adjust our reading speed. That was a lot also. So for this reading speed, you must learn how to adjust it. Yeah, let me give an example, a practical example for this. Okay, we have exams that is coming on. Let me use this POP exam student. It's going to start tomorrow, and yeah, maybe workload. You have not been having the chance to cover for a lot of your courses, but the one you have, let's say the one you have tomorrow, you have not even finished the course material. Let's say you have like 2 units to go, or you have like 5 more units to go. How do you adjust your reading speed? And you have this night to prepare. How do you do it? It's not the same way you have been reading. It's not the same way you have been reading for the rest. It's not that kind of way you're going to do this night. Although you have like 5 units to read, but you will need to increase your speed because you have to sleep, and before you sleep, you have to cover up for that. And you still want to wake up early so that you can meet up. Maybe you're coming from a very far place. So you need to adjust that reading skills, that reading speed. The kind of time you give before for the ones you have read is not the kind of time you're supposed to give tonight, and you have exam tomorrow morning by 8:30. So another one is read fast when necessary. Yes, nobody will sue you for that. When it is necessary, let's try as much as possible to read fast. So far you're able to get the main ideas that you want. And you have the experience already in that field. So you have the experience already in your reading. So that is why you must read fast when it's necessary. Maybe you have a shorter time to enter the exam hall. What do? You read fast. Maybe rain. Maybe you're not really chance at work, you're not chance to cope with everything. What do? You read fast when it is necessary also. You practice that skimming reading. Why the third one? Read normally when understanding is needed. When you need to understand the basic thing, maybe you have been trying to cope, you have been trying to do a skimming reading on a particular unit, but you are not understanding it. You are not getting the basic understanding. What do? You read normally when understanding is needed. Maybe you've gotten to the part where you need calculation. Calculation has to be done, and you cannot be fast, because if you are fast, you will not be able to understand the calculation. So what do? You calm down and you read. Make sure you read normally. Read normally so that you can understand very well. And after you are done understanding, you can now move. You can now continue with your skimming reading. So, but let's always remember what? Reading without understanding is not reading. So this is the part that I want us to know. It's not about how many hours you use on a book. It's not about how many days you use on a book. Do you understand the book? That is the main thing. It's just like you are learning how to sew a cloth, and you are telling people that, yeah, you've used 2 years, you've used 5 years, you've used 10 years. What can you sew? That is the main point. Can you even measure someone? Do you even know how to measure? Do you know how to use the tape rule? So that is it. So reading is not reading when you don't understand. No matter the kind of hours you give to your book, no matter the amount of hours, the amount of time, at the end of the day, do you understand? So that is why before you read, give your reading a purpose. Before you read, give your reading a purpose. After the reading, give yourself an assessment, so that you'll be so sure that, yeah, you understand this unit. And if you do not understand it, you go back to it, you read and you learn again. So that is that. So for the summarization, the unit teaches that reading should not be done at one speed. So the main thing that this unit is telling us, which is reading and comprehending at varying speed level, is that reading should not be done at one speed. You're not supposed to read the same way. For some of us that has this kind of habit to be a slow reader, also a slow writer, you need to fasten up, because what? Reading should not be done at one speed. So it's not the way you read when you have time. It's going to be the same way you read when you have lesser time, when you have a shorter time. You are going to read in a very different way. So there are different reading speed. Yeah. So I told us that there are different reading speed. You have the fast reading. That one contains the skimming and the scanning, and you have the average speeding. So for that fast reading, which is the skimming and scanning, I said it is used for what? Quick understanding. If you want to get a very quick understanding, you make use of skimming, you make use of scanning. Mind you, quick understanding, which means whatever you want to skim, whatever you want to scan, you must be able to understand them. If after you are done and you still did not understand, you come back to it. So a good reader adjusts step. Why for the average reading rather? For the average reading, it is for better comprehension. So under this average reading, all you are reading for is just for the better understanding. So which means you can be slow, or most times you need to be slow. You need to do that detailed reading so that you can get the better understanding. And a good reader what? Adjust speed based on purpose, time, and material. As a good reader, you must adjust the speed. You must adjust speed based on what? Based on purpose, based on time and material. So, and the main goal of reading is always understanding. So the main goal of reading is understanding. That should be the main goal of all our reading. You are reading a novel now. The reason why you are reading that novel is for you to understand. Maybe you are reading a novel about love, about leadership, about discipline. It's for you to understand those bases. Even if you are reading a physics textbook, that is also you reading academically. But the main goal of reading is understanding. If you are reading and you are not understanding, it becomes a problem for you, because you'll be looking for a way for you to understand. You'll be looking for a very sharp way for you to understand. And it is because maybe it might be because you are not concentrating, lack of concentration and the rest. So that is why you, as a good reader, you must adjust your speed. You must do that. So that's for the reading and comprehending at varying speed level 1. So I'm going to be asking us some questions so that we can gain. I don't know if you really understand it, but yeah, the question I'm going to be asking is going to make us to be able to say one or two things that we understand and the ones that we don't understand, so that we can give it a clear and more vivid explanation. So I have two questions here that says, state two situations where a student should read at average speed and a fast speed. So there are two questions there. State two situations where a student should read at average speed and a fast speed. Is there a situation where you as a student now, yeah, if you need to read at an average speed and you also need to read like in a fast speed? Who can answer this? It's two situation where you as a student should read at average speed and fast speed.
Let me make a attempt.
Alright, sir.
Uh, Situations where a student will reach at average level is when you have time. When, like, if you have like 1 month or 1 month and to exam, then you will have time to read in average level so that you get a better understanding.
Yes.
And when you read that when you read with speed, with fast speed, it's when you are limited to time. Think
Okay.
that's a little I can contribute.
All right. Thank you for your own ideas, sir. I really appreciate. So, who else can just, pertaining to the example he gave us, who can think of something different? Like, we are all students, and here the question says, where a student should read at an average speed, and we know what an average speed is. You're reading for understanding. You're reading very well for understanding. So, who can give a situation whereas it requires you to read with an average speed, and also another situation that requires you to read with a fast speed? Okay, who want to help us out before I answer the question? Is there anyone again that wants to add? All right. So let me just give us some situations when.
Hello.
All right, ma.
Good evening.
Good evening. You want to
Yeah.
answer for us?
Um, I want to tell you my idea. Um, Reading at average speed is when you are reading to gain knowledge. I maybe you are reading course material, and the course material maybe you are preparing for exam. So when you are reading the course material, you take time to read it to understand what is in the course material, and that is under skimming.
Okay.
And
Okay.
reading for reading fast speed is like scanning. Maybe when you just want to gain maybe you just want to pick 1 or 2 points in a material. Maybe you just need an information, quick information.
All right.
So that is my
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mama. Thank you for your own. Yeah. So I said state two situations where a student should read at average speed and fast speed. And according to my explanation, average speed is when you read for a better understanding. While fast speed is when you read for you to get the main ideas. You are reading very fast to get the main idea. So let me give the first situation for an average speed. So a practical example is, yeah, we the 100 level and 200 level student now. Our exam is June, which means we have like the whole May for us to prepare. So you can actually make use of an average speed of reading for you to get the better understanding, because you're not supposed to be rushing by now. You are not supposed to be rushing. So you are taking an average speed to read now because your exam is what? June. So that's the first situation for average speed. Then another situation is, yes, maybe you have, let's say for an example, at your place of work, you are giving a promotion exam to do, and it has been announced like 2 months before that day. So that means you can actually make research for the promotion exams questions, maybe through YouTube or through your other colleagues that have done that before, to get some past questions, to get where to read, to get the area of concentration. All of this, if you want to get them, you can make use of an average reading speed, because it is not something that happens immediately. While for the other one, which is the fast speed, this one is your exam time. Okay, you have exam by 8:30. You slept very early, thinking maybe you are going to wake up very early. You not set alarm. When you wake up, you see that it was around 7 o'clock and you're coming all the way from Lakwe, and the exam is 8:30. So So let's say you manage to get to the school before 8:30. Let's say you get to the school around 8:10, and you have not read like 2 units out of the course material. What do you do? This is when you start to develop a very fast reading speed. You read as if you're going to cram everything sometimes. So that is for the first question. So the second one says, why is comprehension more important than speed in reading? Why is comprehension important than speed in reading? Why, another word is, why is you understanding, like you having an understanding of something, why is it more important than speed in reading?
Let me give you the story again.
Okay.
Maybe over sabi what they do. I just want to learn.
No, is a good thing for you to stop. At least you're going to be corrected if there's any mistake.
I like that. Thank you. Why comprehension is more important than speed in reading is because reading, even in speed or slow, without understanding is a complete waste of time.
Yes.
Yeah, reading without comprehension is a waste of time. That is why comprehension is more important than speed in reading. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you for your own ideas, sir. So, yeah, you've actually said it there. Why is comprehension more important than speed in reading? It's because even when you read, even when you do a detailed reading, say, okay, you want to calm down, you do a detailed reading. If you still do not understand, it is of no use. I did a class yesterday, and student was asking me that what can be the cause for someone to, let's say after attending this class now, then the next class, let's say the next class is like 2 days to today, and everything that was taught in this class, student did not remember again. You know, although the class was okay because the unit was being simplified and it was explained in a very understandable way, but still, for the next class, the student will not understand. I have to tell him that, yeah, it is not really because it's not sharp. It's not really because it's not intelligent, but there are some things that the student needs to understand himself. You are not giving yourself an assessment. You are not open to learning. You are not opening to questions. Like, you are not open to questions that can actually make you to be honest with yourself. That is why when you read, even though you understand why reading, still do some assessments to build that confidence in yourself. It is what you know that you'll be able to give to someone. You can read. For an example, maybe you read in the night. Most of us we love to read at night. After going through the daily stress, instead of you to rest, you will say you want to read in the night. So they will put leg inside water to read in the night. Me, I don't really see it as a very good reading skill, because I feel like your brain is already stressed and the brain is programmed to sleep at night. Imagine you have to, yeah, punish the nature or try to supersede nature for you to sleep, for you not to sleep because you want to read. So majority of all those things that you will read at night, there's probability that when you wake up in the morning, you might not remember most of them, which means you read but you do not understand them because you just want to read. So that is why most reading you have to make sure you understand, or else it is just going to be a waste. So that speed does not matter. Even if you practice a skimming reading, according to this unit, it says it will give you 50% of understanding. But when you practice a detailed reading, it will give you 70% of understanding. Me, the kind of reading procedures I do prescribe, I'm not saying nobody should read at night, but I believe at least sleep first. When you sleep, when you wake up, maybe you wake up around 4, you wake up around 5. Yeah, carry your book and read. Now your brain is settled, your brain is open to new things. Your brain is open to the new activity of the second day, which means anything you read is going to stay in there because that is the first thing you are putting there. So even if it is 30 minutes or 1 hour reading, you can give to yourself maybe 5 to 6, maybe 4 to 5, maybe 4 to 6. It's going to stay there. You'll be able to understand properly compared to when you read in the night and you are already tired. You don't work inside something, you don't buy something, you don't stress yourself. So comprehension, which is understanding, it is more important than speed in reading because after everything, after all in all, it is not the speed that you are going to write down in your exam, but it is what you understand that you are going to be able to fill down in your exam. So that is why comprehension is very important. So I hope you understand my explanation. So
Yes, sir.
let's go to the objective questions. Let's go to the objective questions. So let's look at reading and comprehension at varying. We are still looking about reading and comprehension at varying speed level. So the first question says, skimming and scanning are types of dash. They are types of what?
Fastest reading.
Yeah, so they are types of fastest reading. So for the question one, yeah, fastest reading. That's correct. And the second question, fast reading gives approximately dash dash. Fast reading gives approximately dash.
50% comprehension.
Yeah, 50% comprehension. That is what the fast reading gives. While number three, average reading speed is about dash.
250 to 500 words
Yeah,
per minute.
250 to 500 words per minute. So number four, the main goal of reading is dash.
Comprehension.
Comprehension. That is the main goal of reading. While number five, which of the following is not true? Which of the following is not true? You can answer that. Which of the following is not true? Let's look at that question very well.
All text should
All
be
text
read.
should be read the same way.
Yeah, all text should be read the same way is not true. Yeah, that's wrong. So that's very correct. So let's look at the next one, which is filling the gap. So for this filling the gap, question one says, skimming and scanning are form of dash reading.
Fastest reading.
So skimming and scanning, they are form of fastest reading. Why number two? Fast reading gives about dash
50,
comprehension. What did you say?
50% comprehension.
Yeah, 50%.
50%.
So it gives a 50% comprehension. Number three, average reading speed is between dash and dash word per minute.
50 to 500
So
words.
250, 500 words per minute. That is how you are going to write it if you see the question in your exam. 250, comma, then
Okay.
500. Because average reading speed is between dash. 250 is supposed to be there, and dash 500 is supposed to be there. So the main purpose of reading is dash
Comprehension.
Comprehension.
comprehension. And I said another word for comprehension is what?
Understanding.
Understanding. So number 5, reading without understanding is dash reading. When you read without understanding is dash reading. Hmm?
Ah,
Not reading.
Yeah. Reading without understanding is
Reading
what?
without
Is no. When
understanding
you
is
read without
not
understanding,
reading. Reading.
when you read without understanding is known as a no reading. It is known as a no reading because the main purpose of you reading is to understand. And now you are now reading without understanding. So what's the essence? So that is for the reading and comprehension at varying speed level. So in all our ways of reading, whenever we want to read our book, let's make sure we are reading for purpose. And let's make sure you are reading for the time that is available. Let's make use of our time and let's make use of our book. So our exam is coming up very soon. Let's just tidying up. Let's put our mind there. If you need to collect a leave before then, start processing it. If you need to drop a official letter before then, start processing it now. And let's try as much as possible to prepare. Let's read. Let's give the detailed reading and let's understand how it works. And at the same time, let's try as much as possible to stay safe here. That's very important. And let's read, please. So we are going to continue this class by God's grace on Thursday. So GST105 will be included by then. So we are going to start on Thursday. So I really appreciate every one of us that is joining and that has been staying consistent on this class. So I believe it's going to work well for every one of us. Our efforts is not going to be a waste at the end of the day.
Amen.
All right. So let's have a lovely night rest. Good night to every one of us.
Okay, so good night, sir.
All right, bye.
Thank you. Yes.